Dr Neil Shastri-Hurst.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. It is a pleasure to follow several excellent maiden speeches this afternoon. For an economy to thrive, both employers and employees must feel protected. Such protections enable both parties to draw comfort. However, this bill does not uphold that principle. In its approach and in its drafting, this bill has fallen off its axis. It has, without doubt, landed overwhelmingly in favour of the employee, to the detriment of any working balance with the employer. This should be cause of no great surprise. After all, given the paucity of private sector experience amongst the Cabinet, it is almost inevitable this bill would be approached via the prism of the trade union bias. Having studied this bill, one cannot fail to conclude that ministers who have commissioned it have no understanding of the struggles faced by small and medium-sized businesses up and down the country. Whilst there is much to be derided in this bill, Madam Deputy Speaker, there are 2 points I wish to specifically raise for the Minister's consideration. Firstly, the abolition of the qualifying period to bring an unfair dismissal claim will inevitably mean a rise in the number of claims presented to the Employment Tribunal. This will have the effect of flooding an already overwhelmed system. So I ask the Minister what true impact assessment has been made in respect of this. Under this bill, Madam Deputy Speaker, unfair dismissal becomes, to all intents and purposes, a day one right. At this stage, there is a lack of clarity, firstly as to the length of any probation period, and secondly, the obligations on an employer when seeking to dismiss in that period. Inevitably, these obligations will increase the burden on SMEs, who will not have the depth of resources of their larger counterparts. The predictable consequence of this, Madam Deputy Speaker, is that small businesses are likely to sink under the weight and cost of these additional requirements. My second point, Madam Deputy Speaker, relates to the proposed changes in respect of industrial action and trade union relations. Repealing the Strikes Minimum Service Levels Act, lowering the ballot threshold for union action and requiring employers to direct their staff towards unions, the Government have demonstrated its willingness to bow down to their union paymasters to the detriment of hard-working businesses and industry. The public will see this for what it is, Madam Deputy Speaker. It's a cheap effort to curry favour with the unions whilst lining the pocket of the Labour Party. Madam Deputy Speaker, it is clear from my conversations with small business owners in Solihull, West and Shirley, that the Government's proposals will only hinder growth and productivity. These measures fail to strike the balance between employer and employer. They will choke our courts, cripple small businesses and stifle employment growth.